Hey, how you doing tonight? Well, if you have insomnia, then maybe this will help you go to sleep, or maybe it'll make you feel better about staying awake. I feel like I've had insomnia most of my life. I've never been a good sleeper, and you know, instead of worrying about it, I just decided to make some use out of it. So I have a few websites that I open up. I use that little Siri trick, I guess we'll call it, of shortcuts where you can set up a series of things that it will do automatically when you press one button. So I play a few different games. And the first thing you saw there was testing my Wi Fi speed, which to me is a pretty cool thing to be able to see how fast your Wi Fi is working. And I've got the T-Mobile unit, and it's very fast. And so I've been real happy with it. And one of the games that I play is this little short crossword puzzle. And so, it keeps time on you. So there's always a little bit of pressure, but I don't let that worry me either. I'm just going to figure out the words. Maybe I'll look up some things by definition, the clues that they use, and just kind of work on it. What I don't know, I don't worry about. And what I do know, I try to fill in, a thought or a word that may be right. So the donut hole, that was something that I thought was pretty quick and easy. Being alone, being a loner, interesting there. When you're home alone at night, when you're single, you're alone. Uh, and it's not a bad feeling, actually. It's actually a very comfortable feeling when you get used to it, when you start to accept it, that being alone is something everybody goes through. So here I am filling in the words. And like any crossword puzzle, which again, I never used to do crossword puzzles. I'm not good at it, I don't think. But, the words start to come to you. Plus, you start to feel or sense the logic of their clues. So they're not usually as difficult as you might think when you first look at it, like the word angry, no big deal. Full of rage, I didn't, anyway, that came in, the bulging muscles, and this top one, I don't even remember now what the clue was, but I didn't get it. At the bottom, I was thinking that it was tie, but let me see how that ends up filling in. Oh, with the mathematical thing, the angle. So, whoops, I got it. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's not bad. Let's take a look at it. So the bottom word was T. Let me see what that cross was. A casual top. Oh, like a T-shirt. Okay. So, like I say, it could have been a golf tee or something like that. But, you have to think, you have to kind of think outside the box what different words mean. Another one that a friend told me about was the 7 little words. She apparently either has insomnia or wakes up early. And, sometimes you make these things into kind of a fun game or a fun routine. Once you retire and you're not getting up to go to work every morning, you have time. You have time to do stuff, time to think about stuff. And one of the things I do is listen to Audible books, which is great. And I've probably read more books. I know I've read more books in the last 10 years than the first 60. And I'm not sure if I'm proud of that, but between Kindle books and Audible books, I find that I can read a lot of different books and enjoy myself, learn a little bit, and, kind of find a source of entertainment through books. I've also started to discover podcasts, and this is a podcast that I'm doing right now. it's a visual podcast. I'm not sure if there's another word for it, but I'll probably upload it to YouTube under their podcast heading. But, again, not sleeping at night. What's the pressure? I think that to me is the biggest issue, is that there's such a degree of pressure to go to sleep, to get 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep, which for me is nonsense. And when I've read an article or two that basically said that this concept that we have to get 8 hours of sleep is just not true. Or it may be true for some people, but not for others. So I think when you're trying to live up to a standard, really what that does is just put more pressure on you. And the more I think about if I need to sleep, then the harder it gets to go to sleep. Where I often find that if I'm completely relaxed and just laying on the couch watching a football game or something, sometimes I'll just doze off. Which is the funniest part of the whole thing, because that's when you want to be awake and excited, but sometimes you doze off, no big deal. You can watch it in the replay or whatever. So here I am with the 7 little words, and again, you're starting to think their logic of what their clues mean. There's a little light bulb there. You can actually use that. I tend not to. I tend to create my own clues by putting a string of letters up there and seeing if I see a word in there, whether it pertains to a clue or just that it is a word. And okay, like a tow truck, like a wrecker. Okay, so that makes sense. So I start seeing if that word is in there, and I don't know if I got it on this one or not, but there you go. And then, like you say, like the plural, sometimes it'll be the plural or the past tense or something of that nature. So again, you're just kind of fitting these pieces of the puzzle together, seeing if they work. What I like about 7 little words is there's no time limit, and there's no set number of errors. I mean, you can literally just keep playing it until you get it. Sometimes I'll look up the clue. Sometimes if it's the name of a person or a state or a river, where you can look it up, I'll do that. I guess that's cheating, but what's the whole point? What's the point of doing the puzzle? It's just to, be entertaining, spend some time, and maybe learn a thing or two, because, I think that's the bottom line, is if you don't get the word on your own, but you look it up, well, you're still learning something. So, okay, like with that social media thing, I was thinking it was likes. I thought that was a big driver of social media, but it turned out to be follows, which I would have thought was followers, but, here again. So we get all the words after a while, and now that puzzle is almost done. Well, now when you get down to there's only 6 letters left, try them in different orders and, see what works. So we got that. Now what I usually do is I make a screenshot of it, and then that way I have a record of it. That 7 little words, that disappears. So you do need to make a screenshot if you want to save it or send it to somebody. A lot of times if I get playing these games and I know other people, other friends of mine are playing them, I'll send them, my copy if they didn't get it or whatever. I don't want to, spoiler alert, I don't want to ruin the puzzle for them, but sometimes after the fact you can just share your wisdom or whatever. Now, with playing Wordle, my daughter actually told me about Wordle. It's probably been a year or more, and I just started playing it every day. And, I've got friends. I love my friends. They're great people, but they tend to be a lot smarter than me, I guess, and they seem to be much more intellectual, or whatever the words are. But they don't seem to think Wordle is worth their time and effort, where I think I love it. I enjoy it. Apparently loads of, many people enjoy it. There's all sorts of Wordles out there anymore. There's ones that are called Wordle Unlimited, and you can just keep playing it and playing new ones. This original one is put out by the New York Times, and this was part of the fun of it, the fascination of it. It's published once a day, every day. You only get one chance to solve it. And let's put it this way, on the one browser. So there is pressure here, because if you don't get it, then you don't get it. I mean, in other words, you lost for the day. Now, I have a method that I use that you're seeing right here. I use these two words, a do and story, and between the two of them, you're going to get all the vowels, which is 98% of your words are going to, depend on their vowels. And then, the placement of the vowels and so forth. You start to think and look to see where those vowels might work in a given word. And also what letters are left, which any of the grayed out letters, they're gone. So like the word pilot or whatever, it's a good word, but you can't use the letter T anymore. So what other words might you use? So my trick in solving these is, after I do a do and story, those are I start with those two words kind of no matter what. Unless the word was a do, then okay, I solved the puzzle. But usually I just use those first two words to figure it out. And then I start looking at word combinations or letter combinations. I forget what they call that, but, CH, SH, TH, I don't know, I forget now anyway, whatever that term is. I look to see if there's a way that the word could be filled in with that. Like choir would be a good word here, but the R is already used, so that's not it. Then a lot of times I'll use Z's to say, okay, I don't know what the letter is, so just put the Z where you don't think or where you can see the clues are not used. And can you kind of see a word there? And the big thing with Wordle is you just don't press enter. You can try out any word you want, but until you press enter, it's just, it's just a blackboard. You can just scribble out whatever words you want, but as soon as you push enter, it's going to try it. Now, another good clue is that, or method is that if it's not a word, then it'll just shake. It'll just say, no, not a word. So if I said here, I-O, it wouldn't take my chance away. It would just say, no, that's not a word. Onion seemed like a pretty good word. That's another thing. When they give you a clue, like we know that there's going to be an I in there and an O in there, but we don't know if there might be two I's or two O's. So I try to think of words that have two clue letters in the word. Onion, I thought, was a great try. Now I know that there's an N and an O, but I got to figure out where do they go. So when it's in yellow like that, that means the letter's in the word, but it means it's in the wrong place. So noise would be a great word. So I don't know if I put it in there, but Noise would be a perfect word to try. But in reality, you know that you can't use E because that's grayed out. So, I didn't mess with it because that would be a word and it would take away one of my chances. So I guess I didn't type it in there. But, if you type it in there to look at it, just remember, don't press enter because that will use up, one of those lines. So this turns into, a pretty hard puzzle for me for some reason this morning. I keep plugging away. Bingo, I think. There you go. That seemed like a great word, but the O's already been used. You can't, no, it hasn't been used. I'm sorry. when you see that the O is in yellow, but then it's in gray, that means that there's only one O in there. So you have to be careful. And with the bingo, the I was in the wrong place. So, Kino, Zzino, is that a word? So, I just keep working on it and thinking about it. Sometimes I'll look up words to see if they're words. The irony there is, if it's not a word, it won't count against you. But if it's a word and it's wrong, it counts against you. So you find yourself figuring out the wordle logic too. They're generally going to use fairly simple words, and that's the irony of it. You kind of tend to overthink these words. Wino with an H, I don't think so, but Chino, there's an idea. So I thought Chino was a kind of a khaki pants or something, I don't know, but got the O in the wrong place. Now I know that it doesn't start with an O and it doesn't end with an O, but there's an O in there. So, now I'm just playing around. What the hell? I'm just thinking, what the hell could it be? It's not Chino. There's my double letters again. It's not onion. I thought that was a good one. Ounce, O-U-N-C-E. There's one, but there's no E. So this one turned into quite the puzzle. And so then you start reviewing your clues or whatever, or thinking. Remember now that there's one O in there, but I-N what? I-N-G would be good. Something. Ching. And point. That was a good word. It puts the O in there. Is there anything wrong with it? So, let me see if I push enter on that one. And, what you're doing is you're thinking through your clues, so to speak. Then you're trying them. But like I said, you got to be careful with how much you try, because now we're down to the last two tries. And poing. There's a good one. Poing. And boing. I used to, when we were kids, when we finished dinner, we would say boing. It's a sound. Now that I've tried it and it almost worked. Now we're so damn close. I mean boing, which I'm kind of almost surprised that it is a word, but what else could there be? Now we've used O-I-N-G. Now this is where you have to remind yourself you can use the same letter twice. Even if your clues did not reveal that, you have to think, well, what, doing was my next thing. Lowing, I don't know where I came, lowing, I don't know. But doing was on my mind, but D has already been used in a do. That's the beauty of those two words. A do would have shown me if a D was in there, so it's not in there, so you can't do that. Well, here you go. And see, it turns out to be so damn easy. I mean, going. And I went with it, and that was right, and so here you go. I got that puzzle solved. Now, there's people that I play with, or that I, correspond with, looking for the right word, who do the Wordle game. And so I'll take a screenshot of it, and I'll usually give my friend out there a clue without giving away the end of it or the whole thing. I'll give her a clue, and then if she gets it on her own, great. If she doesn't, I might send her my screenshot, show her how I figured it out. And that's a little bit what I'm doing here tonight, is just talking about how do I figure this out. Now, I guess I'm done. And so that's how you spend the evening. with insomnia. And you either get up or go to sleep. It's really that simple. You don't have to do anything, but you don't have to sleep. Just rest, relax, and enjoy your life. And make use of your time. Do something fun, do something useful, entertaining, thoughtful, whatever. But don't worry about going to sleep. That's the bottom line. Do not worry about going to sleep. Just take it as it comes. Unless you're driving. Don't go to sleep while you're driving. All right, night-night for now. And take care of yourself.